It's been 15 long years, but for the first time since 2001, the Syracuse Orange are a top 25 football program. They've won 3 in a row, winning back-to-back games by a score of 24-10, the most recent against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and they are nationally relevant once more. A 7-2 record, and they are not showing any signs of slowing down under this new regime, turning things around very quickly from a below 500 season and several below 500 seasons under previous head coach Scott Schaefer. Dino Babers has this program back on the right track with their record and as well as their recruiting. As you saw at the end of the last video where Syracuse took on Louisville, athlete Matt Montgomery has committed to Syracuse, choosing them over Penn State. He will most likely play defensive end for the team, and he's a pretty talented pass rusher, and that's a big signing for a team that's looking to improve their defense and get top recruits. A 4-star recruit is the first one to commit to the school. And after their win against Wake Forest, Syracuse also landed 2 of their other top targets, JUCO transfer defensive end Josh Nelson, another pass rusher. So Syracuse really investing a lot into that area, as well as tight end James Black, another JUCO guy. Pretty solid tight end, pretty decent receiving tight end. We're going to need another one on the roster. We won out over Utah for him in a semi-close race, a lot closer than the one for Joshua Nelson. And Wesley Howard decided to go to Notre Dame, and this wasn't even really a race. Notre Dame sealed the deal, and they have now taken 2 of Syracuse's recruiting targets so far in this period. And here are a couple other guys who Syracuse were pursuing that they've just fallen too far behind in the race. And Utah has stormed out to a 2,000-point lead almost for athlete Justin Meade. So Syracuse is going to withdraw their name from the running. And after another week of simulation due to having a bye week, Syracuse was granted with more good news as tackle Nick Malone has committed to the team, a 3-star recruit from Hawaii that was a 77 overall and is solid in both run blocking and pass protection. So that is a huge commitment. And we now have 3 players in the 70s who have committed to the team and should play big roles on the team right away. Another race Syracuse will be pulling out of is that for guard Omar Stovall, a prospect I like quite a bit as a potential developmental guard who could take over a starting role in his second year. He had really good blocking ratings, but not very good impact blocking. However, Fresno State has opened up a 1,000-point lead, and Syracuse has fallen. Actually, not even really fallen. We are never very high to begin with, but we are all the way in 4th place, so we will be withdrawing our name from this race as well. Another player Syracuse will no longer be pursuing is the kicker Teddy Davis. We had him on our radar because our kicker will be a senior next year, and he is a guy that we could have redshirted and gotten a year of development out of. However, he is not committed to our school yet. We have been in a battle with Army for 3 weeks now, and it is not worth the 500 points that we are going to have to keep putting into him until he makes a decision one way or the other. And part of the reason that we took those guys off of our boards was to accommodate for 4 new players that we just found toward the end of this recruiting period. We're over halfway through the season now. I think we're in like week 11. Brandon Vinay, a defensive end. We've been really looking into defensive line prospects a lot. This class is very rich in them. A power rusher, a guy who will probably play inside and is very good against the run, so hopefully we can get our name into his consideration. Cornerback Jonathan Campbell is being chased by some of the prestigious schools like Alabama, USC, and Ohio State, but he hasn't really gotten a lot of great offers from any of these people. And he has great man and zone ratings. His press needs a little work, but he has 93 speed and 92 acceleration to go with those coverage ratings. I think he's potentially a guy who could start day one he comes on the campus for any team that he goes to. And here we have a couple of lower caliber corners that could potentially be something with a year of redshirting. First is Jarrell Fulks from Kentucky. He's the number 13 cornerback in the class. He only has an 73 overall, but he has 84 man coverage and 80 press. Pretty decent speed, and again, a guy with a year of development could turn into a really good corner for us. And then heading back to the JUCO well, we have Kevin Weddle, a 2-star recruit, the number 181 corner, but he has the same overall as Jarrell Fulks, and he's a little bit more balanced, as you'll see right here as we check out his ratings. 82 in man and zone, 76 press, but he has 90 speed as well. And again, a guy who we will probably redshirt if we do pick him up because he wouldn't really have a role with the team right away. Another addition to our recruiting board was wide receiver Tanner Walker, a JUCO prospect who is a very developed receiver in terms of skills. And he's a guy who, again, could come right into our program and have a starting role as we are graduating 2 senior receivers this year. And this guy is a very developed receiver in terms of skills. Could use a little bit of work on his hands, obviously, but he has pretty good speed, and he can already run routes very well. Another late add is linebacker prospect Rashad Stewart. Not very fast, but he's pretty balanced, pretty good against the run, and very good in coverage. So a guy we could pursue as depth on the end of the bench, and obviously a guy we would redshirt and get an extra year development and see if his skills improve any. And that wraps up all the recent events in terms of recruiting, but we have a couple of other house cleaning things to take care of. We are the number 20 team in the country after our bye week. After facing Wake Forest, we had a bye week, and then we moved up 4 spots just based on everything that happened, up and down the top 25. You can take a look right now. And our next game is going to be the first top 25 versus top 25 matchup of this entire series, as we are going to be taking on the previous number 1 team, Florida State. They have sustained a loss since being the number 1 team, obviously, as they are now number 6, but it is still going to be a pretty interesting matchup, as Florida State, on paper, is a much better team than Syracuse. But at the same time, Syracuse has vastly outplayed expectations this year. They had a C+ overall ranking coming into the year, and they are sitting at a 7-2 record with 3 games remaining on the schedule, which means the worst record that they could have to finish the season would be 7-5, and that's still in a great year. That's a bowl-eligible year. Syracuse is bowl-eligible. So, very, very good year by Syracuse, but obviously they have a tough time coming up against Florida State. Florida State was undefeated for most of the season despite a couple scares from Clemson and North Carolina State, but they eventually fell in Miami to the Miami Hurricanes in another close game, and now they have a loss on the season. They did kill Wake Forest last week, and speaking of Wake Forest, here are the statistics from Syracuse's matchup against them that I did not show until just now. Although I had mentioned earlier on in the episode that we won by a score of 24-10, our second straight ACC victory by a score of 24-10, is we've been playing very well within the conference this year. Our only 2 losses this year were to Clemson and Notre Dame, both teams that I think are clearly more talented than we are. We also had that upset of North Carolina. So, very good year out of Syracuse so far, and a very disappointing year out of Wake Forest. And as you can see from the stats, they did not have a good day at all. And Jordan Fredericks with another strong game, as he had 100 yards rushing in the last episode, and he added another 100 in this game against Wake Forest. So very strong season so far out of Syracuse, and very poor season out of Wake Forest. But Syracuse most likely not going to be favored in this upcoming game against Florida State, and it is going to be a battle. So that is going to be the next episode of this Dynasty. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more Dynasty with Syracuse in NCAA Football 14. Next time, Syracuse versus Florida State.